Thank you very much. And yeah, good afternoon, everybody. And for the people that are online, thank you for connecting. And for the ones that will watch the video later on, thanks for your time watching the video. I hope this presentation will be valuable for you. So I'm planning to talk about what genAI is, but let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Marcio. I'm currently leading the genAI in software and platform engineering in Accenture for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So that's my role. A little bit of me, I spent my entire life on technology architecture. 30 years ago, I started my journey. And my life is divided, part of the time, 12 years in Brazil. And then the next 12 years, I live in Japan. And I just relocated to Germany, where I'm currently leading genAI. And it's interesting because when you're talking about cultural aspects of genAI, just to introduce the topic, we always think about, emerging countries, and US, of course, is in the forefront of this. But over the last 2 years, I was working deeply with Japanese companies on implementing genAI. And it is amazing how they embrace the technology and how they use it extensively. And I will be a bit provocative. Maybe still very early to make any comment on this, but I would say in my almost 5 months here in Europe and traveling multiple countries, I don't feel that the genAI really pick it up. I was surprised because, Europe, US are the front runners on all of these things. But that's a good thing. It means that's a lot of work for us really to transform genAI in a powerhouse for our clients, for our own knowledge, right? So it's a little bit of me. Well, a quick review on brief story of it. So in this 3 phases, so we started maybe 5 to 7 years ago, not started, but modernizing things and creating new applications using the traditional method, right? So when genAI came, of course, the world was transformed upside down. And we start using the platform, using ChatGPT, Copilot, and all of the things to help us understand how we can do things better. And then what we envision, how genAI will drive us in the future. This is what I'd like to talk to you guys today, right? So let's have some facts, right? When we are talking about genAI, and my presentation will be particularly focused on the software delivery lifecycle. So all the things that you see here, it's not about chatbot, it's not about automating business workflow. It's not about creating data pipeline. It's all about engineering, architecture and engineering, and how AI is transforming this world and what we can do about it, because that's the end what we want to do, right? And in terms of companies adopting it, and that's good for the companies that are here and wants to see, what the other market is doing. So in IT, Gartner did a research early this year, and this 70% of the work of the companies are using genAI to enhance and to augment the capability of software delivery. And this is massive, right? 1 year ago was 10%. Look what the revolution that we are talking about, right? And it promises efficiency. Whether it is realized yet or not, it's something that we will discuss and debate. But indeed, overall, the technology promises a lot of productivity improvement, how we can do things faster, better, cheaper, and more valuable. I'm sure most of you maybe already worked on programming once in your life, or you are introducing to the programming language, or starting your career. And I can tell you, 30 years ago, I was probably in the same situation that most of you guys were. And we produced a lot, and we were very proud about the code that we did, right? But when we deliver it to the business said, that's not exactly what I was looking for. And you said, man, I spent days, nights, and weekends perfectioning this code, but it's not delivering value to the business, right? So then the concept of business-driven outcomes is so important. And in the age of genAI, where business is becoming, in the past we said IT needs to work together with business. Now, IT is business, business is IT. There is no boundaries anymore. And that's why the concept of creating a valuable application is so fundamental to everything that we're going to do for now. And that's why the companies are really striving for that. And why this is relevant, and why today this is possible. Because the technology evolved to a point where you can try, you can prototype, and you can develop things really fast. In the past, we spent like, I do not know, 1 week, 2 weeks to do a prototype, to test an idea with the business, right? Today, how long does it take? A few hours? 1 day? 2 days? Max. So the pace that you can validate before you really go and coding, you guys probably heard a lot in terms of the vibe coding and all of these things. Still in the early days, but it's a very powerful tool to validate what really business need in a few hours, in a few days, instead of weeks, right? So I really encourage you to embrace these things and to use it extensively. And I know that's a lot of anxiety, guys, on whether we should do it or is it really valuable? Does it make sense? Please, I mean, there is no way back, just a way forward. We have to embrace it. Why I'm saying that? We did a survey in one of our clients exactly to understand the sense, the atmosphere for the developers. This client has about 2,000 IT engineers. 30% said that, yeah, genAI is really great. 70% are everything in between. And 30% said genAI is rubbish, right? So I don't intend to be the oracle and predict anything, but if this entire world is making the shift, so we should think about it, right? So then the question is, will software engineers and architects survive in this era, right? That's what I would like to provoke in my presentation with you today, right? So the thing is, really, there are tons of researchers, and the signals are really mixed, right? So Mitter did the research back in July this year and say, we did in a lot of clients, and the result is 19% less productivity. So instead of improving, it's reducing the work, because in order to fix the problems that genAI created, it takes more time than to really producing the code. In the other side, we can see that, big bosses of the tech companies like Microsoft or Anthropic, they are saying exactly the same, right? So, they are saying exactly the opposite. They are saying, we are building today 25 to 30% of our software using genAI. So what's the difference between these two words? Well, exactly. The answer is not that simple. One of the most, I would say, methodological study that was produced that I've read is this Stanford study. And they did it not with prototypes, not with POCs, but they really take code base with hundreds and hundreds of enterprise companies. Not small companies, but companies that really build software big time, put in production, and really used in their day-to-day. And that's the outcome of this study, right? So the study is really extensive, but I just took this slide because this is really very relevant. And most of the corporations are somehow in between this, right? What we have here. On the x-axis, we have the characteristic of the project. Either is greenfield, it means you start from scratch, like vibe coding, and then and brownfield, that is where the corporations has most of their software. And on the y-axis, we have the task complexity, low complexity and high complexity. And what they said, you know, look, it's not one or the other, but it's the context. We talk a lot about context and genAI. When we are delivering software, it's the same thing, right? So how we can read it? Of course, if we are doing greenfield, new software, new application, the productivity is higher. Of course, it's higher because you don't have legacy. You are just, you know, coding your vibe coding what you want to do. And low complexity, of course, the productivity is much higher. When we are talking about a high complexity, even in greenfield, the productivity is lower. And then we go to the brownfield, where, you know, vast majority of the corporations are. So when we are talking about brownfield, and we are talking about high complexity tasks, really the benefit sometimes is zero. Or, as we saw in the previous slide, you have a 19% productivity loss instead of having productivity improvement. So what I want to say is that we need to separate the noise from the signal, right? Nothing is black and white, but the technology has a promise, and there is applicability, there are results that can be achieved, and there are scientific proof that you can do it. So understanding the context and understanding where your company is makes a lot of difference when you are proposing something to implement to your group, to your client, or to your project, right? And guess what? In Accenture, we did a study beginning of this year, more or less, right? So the vast majority of the enterprises are in the brownfield, right? 80%, 75 to 80% of the software that they delivered are changing the existing one. Then when the C-level says, well, you know, I'd like 40% benefit. So, not possible, right? Because this is, we are not in a stage where you can get at that much. So understanding the context of your application, understanding the context of your company, understanding the context of what's the objective that you want to achieve is very important. This picture is changing every day. Every day. Because, as you guys also notice, genAI is evolving every day. And new things and new models and new versions of ChatGPT, Copilots and all are bringing more and more, right? And the thing is, our role as architects and system engineers will change. I think, you know, in the morning, if you guys were in the plenary with Adam and Max, they mentioned, right, oh, I mean, jobs will not be just disappear, they will evolve. And that's exactly what we are seeing, right? So in all the roles in the IT landscape, more or less, you can do more, you can do differently. And genAI has the capability to evolve what currently we are doing to do more things, to do different things. So for the people that I mentioned in the beginning, you know, 30% that is completely doomed on the technology, it's a problem, right? You need to understand that you have to change your mindset. And also, software engineers, they are much more than coders, right? There's an entire process in the software development life cycle that you need to manage during providing the code. That's the output, right? And the progress is really undeniable. is undeniable, right? So this graph shows from Meter that the reliability of the AI tasks is doubling every 7 months. Guys, this was launched 2 years ago, more or less, big time, right? And this is changing. Every 7 months, this is doubling. Maybe you guys heard about the Moore's law, that the power of the ships are doubling every 2 years. Now the power of this technology is changing every 7 months, right? So if it's not ready now, it will be better. If it's not very good now, it will be better over time. And it's really hard to run against the facts. And that's why I think this graph is so relevant, because it brings us the perspective on how the landscape of software development life cycle will change over time, right? And it will affect everything. It will affect how you design, how you do your requirement definition, how you do your user stories, how you do the architecture, how you code, release, operate, test, monitor. And there are two areas that are very low-hanging fruit that is technology agnostic, that you can start thinking about it day zero. That is requirement definition, user story creation, and testing, right? User story creation is completely technology agnostic. And you can, with prompting, using Copilot, ChatGPT, whatever, you can get very, very good results out of it, right? So there are a lot of things in the entire life cycle that will change. And this change, you might say, well, but I'd like just to do the coding. Why I need to care about it? Because in the past, we were always, people mentioned to us, you need to specialize, you need to have deep understanding of doing A, B, or C, right? Yeah, correct. You have to be expert in some technology, on some areas. But now it's emerging a new type of software engineering. Maybe you guys heard about the T-shape. What's the T-shaped professional? So the I-shaped professional is the professional that has deep knowledge in one specific area. And the T-shaped professional is a guy that has knowledge and deep knowledge in one area, but also understand the entire process and can contribute in multiple areas. I know that sometimes this is a little bit uncomfortable for some of our software engineers that are primarily focused on coding. But we need to move on. You guys need to move on. We all need to move on. Because the T-shape is a fact. And more than that, currently the size of the T, the vertical, is like that. But guess what? Over time, this will reduce. Because more and more, the technology is becoming better on doing things that today, they are not there yet. So you need to understand that the software engineers and the architects of the future will not be the ones that are creating the boilerplate or defining the modules of the solution, but you'll be the ones that will orchestrate the entire solution. And then it comes to this slide that I think it's very relevant for us to explore a little bit, right? So first, companies are in different stages. I put here 4 just as illustrative. Most of them are what we call in the foundational stage. What does it mean? What they are doing, they are mainly trying and experimenting. And they are doing this for the last over maybe, 1 year, 1 year and a half, some of them 2 years, right? And they are still in the foundational. And what's the problem with this? Because everybody is trying everything and trying different solutions and all. And what's happening? The leadership, because genAI became a C-level conversation, right? The president of the companies are just pushing back. They are becoming very anxious. Because they said, well, guys, look, 2 years ago, people told me that this can give me 40% benefit. Why 2 years later, we are not there yet? Because there is a huge fragmentation of tools and solutions and directions. And companies are lacking a strategy to really deliver to the promise of the technology. Just to let you know, today, I mean, Gartner did also a survey. 70% of the companies are in the foundational stage. They are just trying agents and things like that. 5% are in the stage 4. So, namely the big tech companies and all of that. So 5% more or less are really using not just agents, but they are orchestrating the entire set of agents in order to deliver the results. And what's common to all of them? Human in the loop. The technology is not sufficiently mature to deliver something completely autonomously. So humans still need to go there to review the code, to validate, to take decisions. And when we are talking about architecture, I mean, if people were in Ed's presentation about the metropolis analogy, right? So what architectures, what they do, they take decisions, right? They understand what needs to be done, and based on that, they collect information and they take decisions. And why? And what AI helps them is all the effort to analyze and to collect data from multiple sources, because AI is very good on that, right? So AI can take part of this burning process of collecting information from multiple sources and start consolidating it. So you have a more educated decision in order what you need really to achieve, right? So from agents to combination of agents to orchestrate, to create an entire autonomous operation, this is what we are envisioning in the upcoming years. But this is not enough. Because what really these agents will do, what these agents are about, how you're going to really redefine and recreate. And you can imagine, this will be your next buddy. The guy that will sit with you and you debate and you discuss and you analyze. It's not like a slave, it's a collaborator, right? It's not someone that you prompt and ask questions and get the answer, but someone that you can exchange ideas. And this is it's a fundamental change. And I think for the new generations that are more used to digital technologies, this is not a big deal. But we have a massive number of software engineers that didn't grow in this world. And they are used to, doing their own stuff by themselves. But we need to evolve, as I said, right? We need to change the way that we are doing it, and we need to redefine the future. And the question, as I said, is not, if this will come. It will come, it's inevitable. Today, next year, 3 years in a row, 5 years, you name it, right? So I'm not really, once again, an oracle and a guru to make any kind of prediction. But based on the facts that you saw before, 7 months doubling the technology and the reasoning for AI, this will come really, really very fast. And what does it mean for system engineers and for architects, right? Need to rethink and to reinvent the rules. There is a part of this conversation is the companies and the enterprises and the universities changing the way that we are training people and skilling people, and part is with you. You need to start thinking how really you move from where you are, from where you want to be. And there are small things that I'll mention in a while that you need to take into considerations. But really the art of the reinvention is not just about the workflows. It's not about the coding. It's not about the hard skills. It's about the soft skills, right? And particularly for the architects, this is becoming hugely important because there are political tension among the best solution possible that needs to be implemented and what really you believe, the company believes is the right thing to do. And sometimes this doesn't match. But more and more, having these tensions and dealing with this quote-unquote politics is so important, right? It's not more you in front of a computer, punching the keyboard. It's how you really building solutions, and these solutions resonate to the client. So we are moving to a world where a lot of hard skills are needed to still need even more hard skills, but in another shape. And we need to be prepared for that. And for the companies, what they need to do in order really to survive in this world, right? So companies are so scared, as all the software engineers and architects are, because they want to deliver results to the corporation and they are not sure what to do, right? So the core of this entire transformation is really having the genAI talent management and how you can orchestrate it holistically, right? It's not about training. It's not about tools. It's not about revisiting and implementing things here and there. It's about reimagining the entire talent development. Just to give you one example, 1 year ago, more or less, I said, guys, look, stop doing training. I said to my team, I have a team of 254 architects back in Japan when I was there. And I said, stop training. We will reimagine the training process. And in 1 month, we create an entire training structure using genAI. And instead of traditional, you go to the classroom, you're learning A, B, C in a sequential manner, because we know that different people have different levels of maturity and acquire knowledge differently and in different paces. We use genAI to gauge how much they know and use this as a baseline and move forward and understanding what kind of solution, what kind of knowledge is needed. And more important, we are not just applying knowledge to apply knowledge. They learn what they need to do in their job. Because you guys know that 70% that we learn in a few days, you forget, right, if you do not use it. So we really was very intentionally thinking about things that need really to be relevant to the job that the guys are doing so they can apply it. Right? So understanding this entire process is not the role of the software engineers in particular, but it's the role of the entire organization. But you have the ability to influence and to talk and to discuss and to revisit. Right? So, and then there's this journey that typically companies are doing in terms of understanding and doing the current assessment of tasks and skills, understand the culture of the company. Different companies, not all the companies are technology companies. We pray that. We would like all the companies to be the technology companies, but the reality is not. Right? So culture matters a lot, how you envision the learning path and how you can enable the change. But on the core of all of these things is trust. Trust on what you are doing, trust on what the technology can achieve, and trust on how you can change the way things are doing. And I remember in the past, many of my architects are saying, no, but Marcio, this is just generating, dummy things, doesn't work. Yeah, but if you give up in the first trial, yeah, it will be hard to make a change, right? So don't give up, because the technology, next month will be better. So we can generate better results. So a lot of people that are skeptical about it because they tried a few months ago, didn't work, and they said, well, it doesn't work. Right? It's not like that, because it's evolving so fast. Right? So in summary, what the software engineers and architects, what you guys can do now, right? So needless to say, be skilled on it. But learning every day, 10 minutes, half an hour, read something new, learn something that help you master one specific topic that you would like to apply to your project or the work that you are doing now. Don't think about, very futuristic stuff, because you forget, and it will change anyway. Think things that are very practical to it. Understand the business, because remember the T-shape story? It's all about understanding what really business wants to do from end to end. And finally, of course, keep learning, right? And for the companies, it's a terrific opportunity to redesign the entire software delivery lifecycle, to create a complete new way to deliver software. Of course, for traditional applications, maybe you go to design, build, test, everything in stages. And we need to make sure that, for some of the applications, you stay like that. But you need to rethink how you re-engage your workforce for the new ways of working. Of course, invest in people and establish responsible AI and governance to prevent any kind of hallucination. Okay, that's all from me today. I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you very much. Now, okay, let me go to the questions here. genAI will replace entry-level engineers. So how will the world develop senior engineers if juniors cannot work entry-level jobs to gain experience? Yeah, very common question. Indeed. I think, it's not 0, not 1. It's not that, the juniors will disappear. It's not, we will not have seniors anymore. It's something in between. We will pass through a moment of transition, right? Companies are under huge pressure to reduce costs. And indeed, as the technology stands today, the junior people, the AI can do most of the job of the junior people. But it's not about that. It's about not just coding. That's why I'd like you guys to think about software engineering. It's not just coding. Build is one thing on the entire spectrum of what you need to learn. If you just focus on programming, yeah, most likely it will be hard for you to get a job. But if you understand that what really we need to deliver is not just outputs, it's outcomes. And outcomes is business-driven. So understanding your company. Guys, look, when you go to an interview and you are junior to a company, the first thing that you do, you go to the website, you learn about the company products, what company does, and blah, blah, blah. Same thing, right? We need to be business-driven on that. Okay, second question. Take into consideration how fast AI takes over the major part of software development work, would you recommend a young person to become a software developer? Yeah, so I'd like just to change the word software developer to software engineer. That is more than development that I just mentioned, right? So I started my career as coding assembly, right? For a Motorola 68000 back 32 years ago, right? So it was really exciting to talk the language of the machine. But clearly, in the coming years, we figured out that this was hindering the progress of the company. And then I started programming Fortran, then C, then Pascal, and many other things. But the thing is, understanding, and of course, being close to the machine is so exciting because it's so powerful. We have so much control on what we are doing, right? But what really does it mean to the business? So I would encourage you to think about the entire package, not just building. Will we survive? Yeah, of course. We will not just survive, but we will thrive. We will thrive. You know what? Because we are all very smart people. And humans, we are adaptable. We adapt to everything. And this will be just one more revolution. I mean, people make this analogy, but I think it's really nice, right? So when we move from chariots to cars, so people said, well, okay, so the guy that was driving the chariot will really disappear. Yeah, of course. I mean, there is no coaches anymore, right? So you have just the cars. But there is a transition. And you need to be prepared. And I think today we have a lot of tools, we have a lot of things that you can do in order to prepare yourself for the transition. Because we are in the very early days. Very early days. So all of you has an astonishing opportunity to reinvent the world, to change how things are currently being done, to defy the status quo, right? Even, for the younger guys that are coming to the market, for the ones that are established, that knows a lot what doesn't work, make it work. For the ones that are skeptical on the technology, try it again, because that's the only way really that you can learn, right? You learn with your mistakes, you learn with your problems, but you evolve, right? Okay, so what will the software industry look like in 10 to 15 years as AI takes over more development tasks? Will this lead to a shortage of truly experienced developers? Yeah, I mean, you guys are still too much fixed on the developers. We need to rethink about it and talk about engineers, not developers, right? In the increasing popularity, and 10 to 15 years, sorry, I don't have a clue. If it's true, if it's 10, I don't have a clue. I know that's evolving very fast, but I cannot take any prediction. In the increasing popularity of AI-based systems, what's your opinion of technology lock-in? Models are trained on existing standards and knowledge. Does this mean that the current trends, programming languages, are here to stay forever? Two things here, right? So first is the popularity, the lock-in, right? Yeah, and this is not what I'm saying. Gartner did a research on the models, and it's increasingly gain traction in the market for the companies to create their own model. So of course, maybe ChatGPT and Claude and all of these guys will still play a role as a kind of big umbrella. But companies are creating their SLMs, are creating their own models. They are tuning their own models. So the thing related to lock-in, yeah, maybe some part of it will be, but not necessary. And the companies are doing an effort to change this game. Programming languages are here to stay. Look, corporations have very huge, massive applications, right? Tons, hundreds and thousands of applications. This will stay really for a long time because it's very hard to migrate everything to the new paradigm. But once again, it's a terrific opportunity for us to learn in this process and understand how you evolve some of the systems to the new frame, the new architecture, the new solution, and what will stay in the past, right? I don't want to make predictions, but I make one. So I think that in the future, all the systems will be greenfield. All the systems will be in the why the other side of the spectrum. That's the ideal, because you do not create a legacy. So you have a huge data lake with all the information you need, and you just create applications as much as you need information extracted from that database. And having greenfield for everything, it means no legacy. If there is no legacy, you do not need to maintain and all of that kind of work, right? So it's I know it's a bit crazy, but the systems that we know today for most of the enterprises will stay for the foreseeable future. The ERP, SAP, Oracle. This will, I mean, it's the core, the operation of the organization is not easy to change. But the new products, these are the things that really will change in the future. And what we are also, it's a concept that exists for a long, long time, but I think in today is so important, right? We are not talking about systems anymore. We are talking about products. Because products will deliver value to your clients, right? So you do not create a solution to solve one specific problem. You create a product that have a life cycle. And that's why the greenfield idea really sticks, because the life cycle is that, you launch the product will peak at some point in time, and then you cease, and you let it go. And you forgot about legacy. Doesn't exist anymore. So what today we have in the companies? Companies are just creating products like crazy, but they are not sunsetting any product, right? What's happened? You have a huge legacy because you need to keep maintaining these thousands of products that you create. So all of these things need to change if you really want to drive operational significance to the business. Finally, I mean, we have just 5 seconds. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoy the presentation. I will be around, anytime.